Good day and welcome to Norvell University. Today we're going to be doing some gun cleaning and maintenance, coming to you from our headquarters of our customer service and repair department here in Lebanon, Tennessee. Today we're going to go over what to expect when you receive your gun back and how to continue to care and provide maintenance for your equipment so it's not breaking down, because right now it is the busy season and we want to make sure that your equipment is up and running and up to spec and par so every one of your customers gets the perfect spray tan. So come on over and let's dissect two particular guns that we have that I know a lot of you are very familiar with. On my left, your right is the M1000 gun. And in this beautiful box here, you guessed it, is our Z3000. And when you get the Z3000, when you purchase it new or receive it back, sometimes you will receive a nice bag of spare parts. This comes when you buy it brand new. And I'll go through what those parts are. And then the all-important gun lube. Make sure that you keep these items together and try to keep them in the box and a storage area so you can always refer back to these, because you're going to need them weekly and you're going to need them daily and you're going to need them monthly. So let's go through what to expect and what to do. Both guns, the process we're going to go through is identical. So I'm going to move the M1000 gun out of the way so we can focus on the Ferrari, the Mercedes, the #1 gun in the industry. I don't know how many straight years because of its balance and atomization capabilities. This is the Z3000. If you've not used this gun, you are missing out. Make sure that you try this and or buy this. This is what the spray tan technical professionals, specialists, and ambassadors use on a daily basis. So let's do this. Let's go through what to do on a daily basis. Every day after, even if one spray tan was attempted, daily, we want to take and remove the cup. You want to pour out and clean out, rinse out this cup so it looks brand new, just like this, making sure the rim is free from any debris and or solution and the cup itself. And sometimes it's nice just to lay a rag or a towel out after you wash the items and let them drip dry. So after you've cleaned this out, what we want to do is we want to tilt the gun upside down and do a little inspection. We want to make sure, first of all, that the gasket that is right here that you see is in perfect tap. There's no crimps, bends, cuts, or folds, because anytime there's a deviation in this white gasket, it'll allow air and, of course, then solution to backfeed through the threads, and then you get dripping coming down your cup. So what you want to do on a daily basis after you rinse that cup out is you want hot water to be going down the dip tube. And as it's going down, we want to depress or pull back the trigger all of the way. While this water is coming through the dip tube or straw, you'll then notice the hot water exit through the front spray tip of the gun. Do that for just a few seconds, making sure that you're rinsing all of this area out with water so you don't have any remnants, debris and or solution buildup in that area. And then I want you to flip the gun right side up, pull the trigger back again, give it a little shake, turn the gun upside down, allow that hot water or warm water to come back through again while you're pulling the trigger back, and it is pouring out the front or squirting right out the front tip. And we're going to do this 3 times. Shake, and then hot water again through the front. And after the 3rd time, you'll notice while pulling this trigger back and shaking it, that only fresh and or clear water is exiting the dip tube. And that means that we've flushed the entire gun out with any remnants in solution. Because remember, this is sugar. You don't want this stickiness building up. And then it'll also create small little salt, sugar cube remnants that clog up the gun and will make sure that it doesn't spray right. So this is important to do. Even if you did 1 spray during the day, this literally, guys, takes 1 minute to do. And this right here is 99% of the problem when we receive equipment in. If it's leaking or not spraying effectively, it's because this was not done on a daily basis. So that's your 1 day. So what I want to address is if you do have leaking that is coming down the cup, you check this gasket. Also, this is the duct build valve. You want to give that a little bit of a squeeze every once in a while. Make sure you wash that off, because this helps with the pressure and it allows that solution to travel up and through. So make sure this is clean as well. If there is deviation, in this white gasket. You do have a replacement that came with it. If you're out, you can purchase those as replacements as well. I think they're anywhere from $4 to $8 for that gasket. If this gasket is intact and you're still having leaking coming down the cup, what happens is sometimes when we put the cup back in as technicians, we put it in way too tight. We have a tendency to tighten it like a pickle jar. Once this is tight, just give it a little bit more. Because if we depress and we screw this too far on, we're depressing this gasket so it's not creating a seal. So if you need to replace that, and the last course of action, if you have it just pouring down the outside of the cup, is take a little bit of the gun lube and go over the rim of this cup. It may not seem like a lot, but just like you were putting lipstick and or chapstick on your lips, you want a little bit there. It's going to create a better seal on the threads as you screw this back on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will help with any leaks you have coming down the cup. But make sure you do that cleaning regimen on a daily basis. So now let's go to what we need to achieve weekly cleaning. Every week, take it on Sundays or Mondays, make sure that we do the following. First of all, the carriage bolt on the very back of the gun, as I unthread this, you're going to notice that there's lube on it. This must maintain and continue to be put on the threading because the threading is metal and the housing in which you're threading it into is metal as well. This gun heats up, and if you do not have that lube on there to take it on and off, we have found guns that maybe are a year or two old that you cannot get this bolt off because it's seized in the metal. So every time you do this, make sure that you just put a little bit of lube on that thread, and it makes it so easy to get it on and off. Make sure you don't lose your spring. There's a small little spot that you can place it right in that carriage bolt. And to access the needle, just pull the trigger back. That'll pop out and voila, the needle comes out. Be sure to be careful with this needle. We don't want to dent it, ding it, or fracture the tip of this needle because this is a very precise tool. This allows the solution to stop and start. When you pull the trigger, it's retracting this needle so the solution comes out. And when you let go of the trigger, it is actually closing the front so no solution can come off. So very important. Now, we want to wash and clean this to make sure that there is no solution on it, which we've already done with this particular needle. But then again, we're taking the gun lube, and I want to show you how much we need to put on it. If I can open this. I've already done it, but you don't need a ton of it. You just, again, put a nice coating on. And you want to go to this chunky part, the thicker part on the needle, which is the stopper. It stops within that trigger. So in and out as it retracts. But we just want to put that much on. And then before we put it back in, I always suggest to have hot water run down through the channel and chamber where that needle is housed. Making sure also that this bolt is a little bit loose. So the wrench that you receive, what you want to take and do is using the correct side of that wrench, you want to go ahead and loosen this. And I know everyone thinks they need to tighten it. You want to go ahead and loosen that. And as you loosen that, there's a packing washer, a set of 4 of them on the other side of this. Those little washers you have replacements in here for, but that washer goes around this needle and it allows it to free flow back and forth without solution coming down the trigger. If at any point you have solution coming out of this and down the trigger, again, you need to loosen this, clean this channel, and clean and lube your needle. Loosen this bolt. Now, after we do that, we're going to gently put the needle back into the gun, putting in the spring, and then, of course, grabbing that carriage bolt and simply putting it in and gently screw. If it does not screw nicely, it means you're cross-threading, and take it back out and try again. Do not cross-thread because that will be a detriment to this very expensive tool. Now, what we want to do is screw this all the way back in. When this is tight, you're going to notice the trigger cannot depress. And you'll also notice that you should have a marking at 12 o'clock. If you have no marking on this bolt, make sure that you take a Sharpie yourself and create, because this is how help us find our default after the cleaning. To find our default, we tighten this bolt all the way. Look for 12 o'clock. If your mark is at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock, that is fine as well. But to get back to default, we're going to loosen this one full revolution back to 12 o'clock. Now, some folks like to adjust this, but the more loose that this bolt is, the more solution will come out the gun. And in Norvell University, we always train you that it's less solution, more air. So the more you loosen this bolt, the more solution is going to come out the front of your gun. So if you like 2 turns or 1.5 turns, that's fine. But 1 full turn will bring us back to 12 o'clock. And you'll notice the trigger only comes back that far. That's our default. And at this point, we've already loosened this bolt. We're going to go ahead and tighten it just a little bit. We're going to tighten it. And right there, that's all you need. When you feel it tightened, just a little bit more, and that's good. Again, we have a tendency to want to over-tighten and get them snug. If we over-tighten this particular bolt, what it's going to cause is these 4 packing washers, instead of being circular, it's going to squeeze them so they're oblong. And as this needle retracts and goes back, it's going to feed air back through and solution, and it will continue to come down your trigger. So you can see how important it is to set this properly. Do not over-tighten things from the cup to the bolts. Do not over-tighten. All right. So that is our weekly goal. So we have our daily cleaning. We have our weekly cleaning. And this is the monthly cleaning we're heading to next. And this scares a lot of people. And you should not be scared with taking this apart. And we're going to show you in the video. Again, you see on the threading, what do you notice? Lube. We want to make sure after we clean this, that we put in the proper amount of lube on there. You don't want to over lube it so it gets gunky and there's lube all over the place, but just enough so the threading comes on and off easily. Here's the air cap and the air cap ring. And then also inside here, we have something that looks kind of like the size of a 50-cent piece. And there's 2 sides to this. These dimples can be up or down. Every time we're going back in, we'll show you that you have to have these dimples up. And there's also 2 placeholders on the 12 and 6 o'clock of this particular piece. And this is critical. You have to put this in properly for the gun to work. Also inside here, you're going to notice a spring. You don't need to take the spring out unless you definitely want to, and it's okay if it does come out. But what we're trying to access is the spray tip. And you can see there's 2 grooves in this, and you want to get a good hold on this and just take this right off. And I refer to this as the Tin Man's hat. You'll find out here in a second. It kind of looks like the Tin Man's hat when this comes off. And again, be very, very careful with this, because on the other side of this, you're going to notice the needle is there. And you can do this after you take the needle out if you'd like. You don't have to have the needle in. Some people prefer to have the needle out when they're doing this. It's completely up to you. But you'll notice as we set this down on this Tin Man's hat or the spray tip, there is a small gasket. You want to make sure to maintain that gasket. Do not lose it. You can keep it right on there, but you want to go ahead and wash this with hot water. And as you wash this with hot water, you're also going to want to have wooden toothpicks. Wooden toothpicks to pick the inside in and around where this hole that the needle closes and opens. And you wouldn't think it is that precise, but that little hole has got to be cleaned out with a wooden toothpick. If you use something metal, you will scratch and score it and deflect the spray. The spray will not come out properly, so make sure you're using a wooden toothpick. Some people have told me the new denture and teeth cleaners that have the little rubber ends on them are a good idea as well, because that is plastic and rubber, and you can use those as well to clean that out. And if you've got those, wooden toothpicks seem pretty cheap, and everyone has those in a pinch. But those are 2 options for you. But once you clean this out, what I want you to do is look through it with your eyeball up to the light and make sure that you see the complete circle. So just like a telescope, look through this hole up at the light, making sure that you've cleaned any residue or hardened sugars that may have presented themselves in there. And believe me, they're little microscopic balls that have hardened, and they'll clog up this area. So very important. So now, after we've done all that, and we've cleaned and rinsed all of this out and made it look brand new and pretty, we're going to go ahead and put this back on and just be nice and gentle with it. And again, this is something that people want to over tighten. And when we get these in, sometimes it is so difficult to get this off because people really torque this on, and you do not want to do that. So as soon as you feel it tight, just a little bit more snug, and you're good. Because that seal that's under it, that black seal, is there so you don't have to over tighten it. So now back goes the spring. We'll just push that down there. And some springs will stick out, and that's fine. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to get the rest of these pieces on. But you can see the little dimples here, north and south. There's small little holes here that these are going to go right into. So, and dimples, these little dimples have to be up, remember. So what I like to do is I'll just push this down and use two hands, keep that depressed, and then I'll push this down as well. So I'm applying pressure to push this down. It makes it much easier. Then I use my index finger as I continue to push it down, and then just simply twisting this back on, making sure again that we do not cross thread it. And there it is. And that lube makes the threading so easy to get these back on. Now what those dimples did up is it allows this to move and lock into place. If you did it incorrectly, this will just spin without you hearing this locking into place. So, and we try to spray, of course, linear. We don't want to keep it like this. That's if you're spraying horizontal. And this is if you're contouring. And this is our setting for a linear spray. And again, this is the three-part section of how to maintain, clean, daily, weekly, and monthly. If you've got any questions, be sure to always call our customer service care department at 888-829-2831. And please put your comments below, if you have any, on social media, and call us with anything you need. Thank you from Norvell.